So let's label up these contours. Contour lines usually have labels on them. Let's make these look prettier. So we've got our, our Nantucket elevation data that we created from our digital elevation model, turned them into contours, converted them into feet, and now we have our lines in feet. We want to kind of label these things and make them look a little bit better. So let's do that. So if we go to our 25-foot contours, and we'll start with the symbology. And we're going to we're gonna make different line widths based on elevation values. Typically, you'll see the higher values have a thicker line to them. So let's use a categorized symbol and based on the value of the elevation, and let's classify those. See what we got. I'm gonna get rid of the zeros. I don't want to show those. And all other, I'm going to get rid of that. So now we have our 4 values, and let's use this simple brown line. You can select your color there in the color wheel, or just, I have one saved. You should 2 at some point. And let's just turn them all to this simple brown line to get going. Now let's see what we got. All right, so now they're all brown. Okay, color's getting better, but we need to distinguish those. We want let's say the 50s and the 100s to be the thicker line, and let's thin down the 25s. We'll go down to 0.26 is good. Same with the 75s, down to 0.26. And so now we have what you typically would expect to see contour lines, where you have some thicker lines and some thinner lines, and we still don't know what they are. So let's label them real quickly. This is how I like to do this. You throw a label on just so you can get your head around what you got, and go from there. So I'm just going to go labels, single labels based on the elevation value. I'm not going to worry about the color, the text, or the placement, or anything else, just to see what numbers we have and if it makes sense. So this makes sense. We've got the 25s and the 50s, and that's what we want. But these labels are a little bit weak. We can do better than that. So let's work on the text. Let's turn the color to that brown that we just used. So that'll help make everything look consistent and help the reader, their eye, pick out, the brown lines, and the brown color of the label will go together. We put a buffer on there. There's actually already a buffer on there. And the text, let's use something a little more classic. How about Baskerville Old Face? And we'll bump the size up to 12 and apply that, see how that looks. So that's better, that's a little more classic. Fits in with our island theme, I guess. Kind of an oldish looking map. So, I might want to bump that buffer up a little bit. That works because I've got a white background, so keep that in mind. I might want to go with a mask otherwise. So we've got the 25. Let's add feet, right? So I want this to say 25 feet and 50 feet. So we'll go into our labels and use the expression builder here. And I'm going to go elevation feet. It's already there. Use the string concatenation and single quote space FT. And I see a preview down here, 0 feet. That looks good. So let's take a look at that. And that's good. So we've got the 25 feet, 50 feet. Looking much better. I also want to work on the placement a little bit. And we're going to set these to curved, so they kind of curve around and a little bit better. Pretty straight line, so it doesn't make that much of a difference. But if but that's what we got. So now our contour lines are a little bit smoother. They're labeled, each only one label per unit, which is good. Those are the the different settings you can use if you had multiple values, like, you know, sometimes you do like 10, 20, 30, 40 is thin, 50 is thick, and you go from there. And but that's it. That's a good way to symbolize your contour values. And then, you know, what I would do is probably save this style as you know, a contour settings that I could work with in the future. If I'm ever doing contour values again, I can open that saved file, and it will bring me back and have a lot of those things. And you still have to go in and check them and make sure it's works for your project. But you know, it's a good little shortcut to save that, so you can get back to it. All right, there you go.